Hey guys, PretzelMan945 here. Welcome back to another video. Today I am doing a review of Your Lie in April. Um, I am gonna be honest for a sec. I've been putting this video off for several days because I really I wanted to make sure I knew how I felt about that. It might sound strange. I wanted to really finalize my thoughts on it. Guess is the excuse I'll use. Um, um, and this show was incredible. I loved Your Lie in April. I finished it in 2 days. I think in a shorter time span than when I finished Steins Gate. I finished both in the same week. Um, it didn't get a 10 from me on my mouth, but it got a 9 because, like Cowboy Bebop, it was so damn close. Um, and I really feel like, um, it is the thing that changed my perspective on the idea of watching romance enemies, I guess, because if you've not watched one of my videos before, my general opinion is that I don't really like a lot of romances in most films and TV shows because I feel like they uh, often are like uh, either either one of the characters is underdeveloped or the chemistry between the characters is not necessarily deserved. Um, but that is not the point of this show. This show absolutely like hits all those check marks and in fact even like explodes beyond the expectations that I had for it. So the main character of Kosei is an incredibly interesting book protagonist because he's a pianist who can't play piano, like he can't hear it anymore. And when I initially like read a plot synopsis, I thought, oh, like maybe he's deaf, like maybe that's his character arc. Um, but no, he actually can hear through the show, and he is deaf, but the reason for that goes so much deeper than anyone could possibly think, including myself, by just reading a plot synopsis. Um, and when I was reading up on this, the idea of it already seemed intriguing to me because it was about classical music. Um, and a little bit of a tangent, but I think the way they handle the classical music is incredible. It's primarily piano and violin, but it works so well because the animation uses this is going to be very disorganized, by the way. I'm just going to talk about the animation now, I guess. But the animation manages to use a way of like using stills to like like fading still shots of characters of like an audience and the music playing in the background along with the musician like actually playing the music. And what do you know? They actually seem to animate the music correctly, which I is like a big thing, meme or whatever that goes around. Like like they actually animated this or they didn't animate this correctly or whatever, but that looks like they actually did in this show. And so there's that aspect, but also the fact that it uses stills, whether when one of the musicians is playing a piece of music or um when or when an audience shot is shown to kind of like gauge a general reaction. Um, and there's also like random bits of dialogue that come in with these still shots that kind of, it's genius the way that animation generates the audience reaction like that. Um, and I also think that this show has one of the most unique animation styles of any show I've ever seen because of its use of color. And and that might sound a little confusing because like every show nowadays has color. It's not like we're um black and white TV again back from like the 50s and 60s when my grandparents grew up. Um this is more like um the kind of and like what I mean by use of color is I'm going to reference a few like I guess three primarily different examples because the dialogue of Kosei and several other characters reflects like um specifically Kosei reflects this like understanding of like how meeting a particular person can shine color into your life. And and that immediately is followed by these contrasting shots of like dull grays and whites, like and but also very subtle like whites and grays and such, which is contrasted incredibly by these shots of like very vibrant springtime colors, like incredibly blue sky, green grass, like all the colors are incredibly vibrant. And that contrast is something so unique and interesting that I've never seen done before. Um, and then the last example that I want to reference is with regards to Kosei's character and the reason that he can't hear, I'm linking it back together, um, is because like whenever he plays, he kind of like drowns in the piano. And the way that this mixes with the audio design to make like this one number one, the way the sound design kind of makes it so the the keys don't really emit any sound bubbling and you can't really hear the music from them anymore. But also like this sense of like this blue water environment that seems to only surround Jose, I think is so interesting and it's such an incredible metaphor for describing the dialogue and development of the characters. And I think it's honestly the first time I've joked that much about the animation of an anime because it's just so unique and it really helps contribute to what makes the characters and dialogue in the show really powerful. So I love Kosei as a protagonist. I think that he's absolutely fantastic. He's extremely relatable at times. Um, and then the main character of Kaori is also introduced in the first episode, and obviously the romance aspect hinges on this kind of like voice of hope, voice of doom idea of essentially creating their chemistry, which works so incredibly well. Because not only is it obviously is primarily the part where it's like Kaori is the voice of hope and Kosei is the voice of doom because he's can be very pessimistic about the performance and he's scared of playing the piano. But it's not just that. If it would have been that, fine. That would have worked. Maybe it would have gotten a little stale, but that's not what happens. because it also flips it. This is a little bit later into the show, but um, like the way that near the end when major spoilers by the way, but when Kaori goes to the hospital and she begins to lose hope, she and she becomes this voice of doom. Then Kosei becomes the voice of hope, and throughout that, it causes Kaori to once again regain her hope and energy to overcome things. Um, and then when Kaori is dying, then once again classic format where Kusei almost gives up piano completely because like he doesn't want to lose another person in his life due to piano, which is such an interesting idea for the take with Kosei's character. And overall I think that dynamic works so well. Um Other character highlights in here, I think the inclusion of the rival characters was genius because it does exactly enough that it needs to, I think. And the fact that it explores each of these characters and how they like looked up to Kosei and how that in turn kind of inspires Kosei's development to continue playing. Obviously, a more minor aspect, but it's still definitely noticeable and present, and it doesn't feel useless. Um, and I also think that the like well, I feel like they explore each character enough to make a viewer feel satisfied about the end product of the characters. Um, And I also think that it seriously succeeds at being able to brain fart. Forget where I was going with that. So next major character, well, the last major character highlight that I really wanted to mention was Tsubaki, because I feel like this is an excellent example of how to make a brilliantly written and um satisfying side character because with Tsubaki's character they do something really interesting where they kind of leave um it on they leave it in an unsatisfying way that is more satisfying than if it were completely satisfying. That might not make any sense, so let me explain. So with Tsubaki's character development, they basically explore how close and basically sister-like her relationship to Kosei was throughout a lot of their early life and up until when they were in junior high. Um, and I think the way that it explores, well, number one, this idea of the fact that Kosei is leaving when he had made this promise to never leave her side, essentially, and how eventually she realized she has romantic feelings, and it's kind of like this tragic third wheel scenario where she can't really stop like the inclusion of like she can't really be with Kosei necessarily. And I think the way that they explore that, but also leave that unresolved, is by far the most satisfying way to end it because she's not a main character. And ultimately, the point of a side character is they support the main character. And that's what Tsubaki ends up doing. And I think the way that they left that unsatisfied actually ended up being the most satisfying thing because it is the thing that makes the most sense because Tsubaki ultimately is a side character. Um, and man, and the ending, I'm not, I didn't cry at it or whatever, but man, the ending felt good. It's incredibly emotionally satisfying, and it's just an absolutely perfect, like, twist, tragic ending, in my opinion. And, this show overall was just absolutely beautiful. I loved it. And in conclusion, if other romance animes are even half as entertaining as this one was, then I think I will find myself enjoying romance anime quite a lot. Uh, that's gonna be all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.